Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Lucore Automotive. Today is another Ford Capri day. Today we're discussing and going over some of the Capri project stuff that we have, and we actually have a guest in the house. Well, in this case, in the yard. Mr. Norm from Team Blitz is here, and he's looking over just everything that we have and telling us everything is terrible.
It's all horrible.
What in the world are you guys doing?
Everything is wrong. Throw it all away.
They're really fucked. Yeah, so that's 29 millimeter diameter. That's the biggest sway bar. I mean, that's as big as like a Firebird Camaro sway bar.
It's huge.
It's huge.
Team Blitz.
Hey, here we are, man. Guilty as charged.
Randomly, this was not known to us before we bought this car, that the basically #1 source in North America for Capri stuff is in our backyard. He's like 45 minutes away from us in Johnstown. So he actually reached out to us, and a bunch of the people that are in the Capri world had reached out to him to reach out to us. So we connected 2 weeks ago on a little lunch so we could talk about stuff. And then we decided it would be a really good idea for him to come over here and actually see what all we have and kind of go over things with us and educate us on what we have ahead of us, and all that kind of stuff. So today is an educational day for us and for you if you're going to watch this. All things Capri. Schooling by Norm. If you're interested, stay tuned.
The 4-cylinder Pinto motor with a reasonable build is 180 horsepower. I mean, if you did drive something and some exotic porting, you know, you could get to maybe 200, and that's it. Okay, the V6, you'll be struggling to even approach 200. You probably end up at about 180 with that offie and some higher compression pistons.
Right.
And so it makes determining the class that you're going to run in, for me, it's more logical to run it as a 4-cylinder if you're going to road race it.
Correct.
Just because you'll be able to run with dogs, you know, of your own species, as opposed to
Not getting run over by something radical.
Yeah, you run in ITA or you run in E-production if the V6 is an E-prod, and you're running with Mazda RX-7s and Datsun Z cars. You're running in stuff with that V6 that is just far more racy.
It's more advanced. It's got more guts.
And there's more of an aftermarket support.
Right.
You know, Mazda, Datsun, they do still support those cars. Ford's done with the 2.8 V6.
So this car was originally raced in F production class.
Yes.
So part of the conversation we're now having is, if we're going to bring this car back as what it was, it needs to probably be back in F production, which is in the same class you race in.
That's right.
So that makes us have to have the 2-liter option with this, the Ford Pinto 2-liter.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And there's some fun stuff you can do in the rule book, and the beauty of running F production is you can also vintage race this car in IMSA RS or B sedan. So you got a twofer.
Yeah.
You know, you could take this thing out, run a regional or national SCCA or NASA event, and then you can show up at an SVRA or an HSR event or a VRG event and run with the small bore Trans Am, you know, the under 2.5 Trans Am cars or the IMSA RS cars. You can have a ball, and that racing category is really on the rise right now. Okay. So you would fit right in.
So there's a lot of options to use the vehicle.
A lot of options. The shell is scary. The shell's scary.
Yes, it is.
It's not cost effective for anybody but Lucore to bring this back. No normal shop could cost effectively repair this shell.
The only reason I'm doing it is because I like doing this on occasion.
Yeah. It will.
I would not even talk to a customer who brought me this car. I'd be like, no.
Find another shell. Right.
Yeah.
So you know, at some point,
we definitely picked it up because it has a lot of good bits,
right?
And we're trying to source parts or bodies or whatever we can to solve the problem.
Right.
There's a number of different ways to solve that problem, but to run in the classes, it has to be a factory style front suspension. So tube chassis out, unless we turn this car into a straight line drag car, and then it doesn't matter, I can hang fiberglass fenders on it, tube chassis, and run and do whatever I want. But for the road racing aspect, we have to have the factory style front end. So
unless you want to step up into what they call GT racing,
no,
and
I'm good. I don't have that kind I don't have pockets that deep.
No, yeah, you're racing against guys that have, you know, 200,000 or 150,000, and they've been polishing that same turd for 30 years.
Right.
You know, and they know that, you know, so they've got a full tube frame, they've got a fiberglass body, and you'd be doing that kind of thing, in which case you don't need any of this.
Yeah.
You could start off with a pile of tubes.
Right.
And just get your bender out.
And have a straight car.
And and just, yeah.
A lot of the components that are actually already on this car are your parts.
Yeah.
Like these.
Yeah.
This.
Yeah.
You said the fuel cell is yours.
I think the Coney inserts, these are not my springs. Those look like cut down stock springs. But that's a cheap part. I think his leaf springs, I'm not sure what else. I'd have to check my records, but Mark bought a lot of stuff from us over the years. He was a super nice guy. Really a shame, you know, cancer. But he was a tiny guy, and the fact that Rich...
Both he and I fit in this thing.
I mean, that's amazing, because Mark was... yeah, he was a little dude, and you're fitting in this car is really something.
One of the nice things we have is having Norm on board to be able to give us some pointers as far as how to build this car. Really makes things a lot better. We talked about this in the previous video about what you don't want to end up doing is spending a whole boatload of money to build a vehicle and then go out to the racetrack and not be in the class that you want to be in, or not be able to compete with it because you made one change, like that 4-barrel Offenhauser intake manifold and that kind of thing. That rules us out of certain things that we would be unable to race against things that are in our class that we would be competitive with. So it would need to stay 2-barrel. But if we had done that and we showed up at the track, then we're going to end up racing against things that are considerably more aggressive and more capable than what we have. So that's one of the nice things with having Norm being able to give us all this information is he's done this racing for 30 years in a Capri, and he knows all of this stuff. So he's willing to give us all of this knowledge and help us, guide us on this process. So one of the things that we were actually talking about off camera and we discussed in the past video is we are going to build that 2.8 V6. We are going to build it as a 2.8 V6 car. But the really interesting thing is we can also build this as a 4-cylinder, because it's pretty easy to take an engine and transmission out of that car. So the idea at this point in time is we're going to build this car as the 2.8 V6, and that's going to be the way we're going to be able to drive it on track and Power Tour maybe for this year. It'll be a nice low-end grunty V6, and in order to be able to run in the F production class, we would need to be with the 2-liter Pinto motor. So what we're going to do is build an engine, transmission, drive shaft setup with that 2.8 V6, and then we're also going to build a 2-liter engine, transmission, drive shaft combo that we can swap into this in order to be able to go F production racing. So, yeah, this escalated quickly. Oh yeah. So one of the conversations we want to have while we're here, and we have Norm here with all of the knowledge, is engine options that were available in the Capris and in the European market versus the American market. This is the 2.8 Cologne US market. So as you British folks can see, we have some differences.
Yeah, so what we have on the American 2.8 carbureted engine is we have 3 separate exhaust ports, whereas the 2.6 that was used in 72 and 73 V6 had a single Siamese exhaust port servicing 2 cylinders and a single for 1 cylinder. So it had 2 holes, not 3 like this. Interestingly enough, the 2.8i used in Europe in the Capri was like our 2.6. It only had 2 exhaust holes, one of them being Siamese and serving 2 cylinders. But for probably emissions reasons, Ford USA, Canada, used these heads. There's only one European model, a large passenger car that also used the American heads. Very rare in Europe. But their 2.8 Capris in Europe all used the Siamese heads, not the 3-port heads.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So we were also saying off camera was that this is based off of the original V4?
Yeah, so the Ford Cologne series started out as an industrial V4.
Okay.
Back in the early 60s. It was designed in America, but produced in Cologne, Germany. And it was used for things like oil pumps, you know, out in the field pumping your grasshoppers. It was used for Klieg lights, used for tractors, used for all kinds of industrial machinery, stationary machinery even.
Okay.
And there's still a lot of those in service in America, these V4s in old farm equipment. But when they went to add on and make it into a V6, what they did, as a V4, it had the Siamese single hole exhaust. So you'd have a V4 with what looked like 2 exhaust ports, one on each side, and you'd think, oh man, what do I have, a 2-cylinder motor here? No, you had a V4, it's just that it used the Siamese single hole.
Gotcha.
When they decided to make a V6 out of it, they added 1 more cylinder on each side and gave it an independent exhaust port.
Okay.
Put that on the floor. Gravity taking effect again.
So the Offie, the 2.8 Offie that we have in America will not fit the European 2.8.
Right.
The pattern for the European heads is like the pattern for our 2.6 heads, evenly spaced intake ports. If we were to take this Offie manifold off and show the audience the port arrangement for the intake here, you have 2 very close together and you have 1, say 5 inches apart. So, you know,
gotcha.
You can't, unfortunately, a number of Europeans will buy a 2.8 Offie, get it shipped all the way to England or France or Germany, and then go, well, it doesn't fit my motor, you know, you ripped me off here.
Yeah.
So I always warn our European customers that this intake won't fit their motor unless they buy a pair of heads from me.
So the block, bottom end, same, 2.8 here, 2.8 there.
Very similar. By the time the 2.8i came along, Ford had gone to a larger journal camshaft.
Okay.
But otherwise, pretty much the same engine.
And cue air compressor.
Nothing quite like a compressor, always on cue.
Yeah.
The 4-cylinder and the V6 Mark 1s both use the same cross.
Use the same cross member.
Don't. I mean, you could. Like, suppose that Mark's on the race car that's twisted, or with your other parts Mark 1 cars, the cross member is shit for some reason. You could adapt the cross member out of the Capri 2, but it's more trouble than it's worth, really. I wouldn't do it. It's heavier, it weighs more. You don't need any more weight on the front.
Don't need any more weight on the nose of that car.
No.
Awesome.
Yep.
I really appreciate all your
Sure,
information, man.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah. This has been upgraded too. So
yeah, it's got a
electronic
ignition on
what
it.
they call DuraSpark in the Ford world.
The Ford.
Are we allowed to run that?
Yeah.
In vintage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure are.
Okay.
Yeah. This engine in '74 would have had a Bosch points distributor. What he's done is he's like off of your Capri 2. Your Capri 2 will have this DuraSpark. Right. And what he's done is he's sourced a distributor off of a later Capri, put it in here. Yeah.
And then we have the whole wiring schematic too of all the other
Yeah.
stuff that he did with ignitions.
Well,
so.
these are, you know, I mean, these are done.
They're pretty cool.
This is not an ECU.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's a solid state box. It says fire.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like super easy to deal with.
Well, Mr. Norm,
Hey,
thank you very much, sir.
pleasure.
The encyclopedia of knowledge of Capriness.
I just want to help you guys.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's exciting what you're doing. I think you guys are plumb crazy, and I'm digging it.
Yeah.
I'm digging it. I think it's really cool what you're doing, and it honors. I know you didn't know that guy. I knew him a little bit myself, and it honors what he's doing. What he did with that race car is, you know, so there's some kind of cosmic coolness to your project. I like that a lot. That's part of what attracted me to that, and just frankly that you guys are flat nuts trying to. I mean, I think it's really something that you will try to resuscitate in some way, shape, or form. Yet to be figured out how to bring that car back, but it's very cool. So
We try to do very cool here.
yeah.
Bad decisions.
Crazy cool.
We're getting all Lucored up on a Friday afternoon.
That's a good way to put that. So we've got a lot to think about. We've got a lot of new information. Fortunately, Norm here knows way more about Capris than either Rich or I ever want to know. And we've got a useful piece of knowledge here that we can get from him whenever we need it. So there's going to be a whole lot of interesting new things ahead for the Capri project. There may be another Capri showing up here shortly. Or two. So for all of you people who are paying attention here for the Capri content, keep paying attention. There's more coming. So engine's torn down. That'll be in the next video. We're going to go through a bunch of other stuff, but we're going to try to do about like maybe every 2 weeks. We're going to give you guys updates on the Capri stuff. So thank you very much for watching. Please do click on the subscribe button if you haven't already. Drop us a comment in the comment section below. You're all going to drop comments in the comment section below. Let's be honest here. And you made it this far, click on the like button. It helps YouTube know that you're paying attention. We'll see you next time. Take care.